You're watching RT. Now, the world's most famous secret spiller is here again to unleash further controversy with his show's next episode airing on RT this Tuesday. Of course, Julian Assange. He's already spoken to the Hezbollah leader in his first international interview in over 6 years and brought together two political extremes from both sides of the Atlantic. RT's Laura Smith now joins us live from London with the details of the next upcoming instalment. Laura, good to see you. So what can we expect this time around? Who is the guest for Assange on Tuesday?
Well, this is the third episode of the programme, and the guest this week is the first president of the new Tunisia, President Moncef Marzouki. Tunisia, of course, is where the Arab Spring first really kicked off, and the Jasmine Revolution, as it's come to be known, was arguably one of the most successful revolutions that the Arab Spring has caused. It was prompted, of course, and this is why this programme is so interesting. The revolution was prompted, at least in part, by revelations from WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks released some cables at the time about corruption in the Tunisian government of then-President Ben Ali, who'd been in power since 1987. And that was the first really hard evidence in documentation that the people of Tunisia had seen that their government was so corrupt, and the government couldn't suppress that information. Moncef Marzouki is cut from an entirely different cloth from his predecessor. He's a doctor, and he's also a human rights activist. And in fact, during the reign of the previous president, Ben Ali, he was exiled and imprisoned. And so he is seen to have some of the greatest moral authority of all the Arab leaders at the moment. During his imprisonment, he was kept in solitary confinement, which he considers to be torture. He talks quite a lot about that during the programme. And he's determined that in Tunisia there will be no more torture. During the programme, he reveals that he recalls a time when he was invited to the US to talk about the human rights situation in Tunisia, and he says that that reveals a complete set of double standards. Let's hear what he says about that.
This revolution in Egypt.
4 years ago, I was invited to Washington by an NGO to talk about human rights in Tunisia. And I was invited to meet some important person in the White House dealing with human rights issues. And I said, no, I'm not going to meet this person because it would be ridiculous to talk with this guy, knowing very well, that he was probably implicated in the Guantanamo problem. You cannot talk, you cannot take seriously somebody who was implicated in torture in his own country, and then this guy is going to give you some lesson about how to promote human rights in Tunisia. This is why I didn't accept to meet him.
As I say, President Marzouki talks a lot about torture during his interview with Julian Assange, and he talks about how he now has to deal with the people as part of his everyday life ruling the country. He has to deal with the people who imprisoned and oppressed him. But he also says that he's not going to pursue those individuals. He's not interested in revenge, if you like. He will open the Tunisian Secret Service archives, but only in the interests of history, not in the interests of taking revenge. He says it's important to forget and to move on. And that is just one of the fine lines that he's found he's having to walk as president of Tunisia. Let's hear that.
And you probably know that the people, perpetrating torture, they always...
Were you surprised by the lack of power in becoming president, the lack of ability to push the program you wanted to push, the compromises you had to make?
Yes, I think, I'm discovering that the fact to be the head of state doesn't mean that you have all the power. And my frustration is now probably the most important feeling that I have every day. And it's very difficult, to conciliate the human rights activist opinions and the duty of head of state.
That's just a tiny bit of this programme. You can catch the whole third episode of The World tomorrow on Tuesday at 11:30 GMT. Don't miss it.
Of course, Laura, and if any of our viewers do miss it or on Tuesday, that is inside 24 hours, they can always find it at rt.com. Laura Smith, live in London. Thank you.